Huh? Oh, hey, nice to see you back and, still not knocking. I can't exactly talk for long. I'm the guest of honor tonight at a big party in town. Yeah, they decided to dedicate a statue to me after I defended Nintendo on an internet forum. Turns out making sure people don't point out flaws in video games online is more brave than being a Marine. Now, despite the fact that I live within my means and I don't know much about high society or public gatherings, I've gotten all the advice that I need on being a guest from video games. Fighting games have prepared me plenty because it's like I always say, if the Ninja Turtles aren't involved, I'm not listening. Odd space guest characters hold in the history of fighting games. The clean timeline of early games like Karate Champ evolving into Street Fighter II, into Mortal Kombat, into Fatal Furies, all the way up to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Fighter Z, and Guilty Gears of today is complicated massively when you realize that Yoda is a part of it. And that's like studying European history and finding out that the person that shot Archduke Franz Ferdinand was Buzz Lightyear. That being said, I feel the continued inclusions of characters like Kratos in Mortal Kombat, 2B in Soul Calibur, and the Ninja Turtles in Injustice adds to the charm of fighting games. Sure, they shouldn't be there, but why shouldn't they be there? Seeing characters like this reminds you that it's just a video game and that you shouldn't take it too seriously. Not to mention that the fan service when it happens is sometimes fantastic, especially when it's done well. When it's not done well, we'll get into that. And what better fandom to pay service to than the biggest fighting game fandom of all time? That's right, we're Karnov fans! Technically, the first ever fighting game guest character was Karnov from the arcade game Karnov, who appears as a boss in Fighter's history. Yeah, this guy's a pivotal moment in gaming history and we can't do anything about it. With both games being published by Data East, the inclusion was easy, and it's debatable if this counts as a guest character as we know it today, but one thing's certain. It happened. That, and like every piece of media released afterwards, it took inspiration from Fist of the North Star. Later that same year, SNK did the same thing, taking the main character of the Art of Fighting series, Ryo, and making him a secret boss in Fatal Fury Special. Ryo was made as a homage to the Street Fighter series, and was meant to be a send-up to their rivals at Capcom. Capcom proceeded to spit in their mouths as they made Dan as a joke character at SNK's expense, and then proceeded to make more successful fighting games than them at every turn. They never got Karnov. However, that makes Karnov and Ryo two of the most important characters in all of gaming, as this opened the floodgates. Capcom followed suit soon after with a double crossover, with X-Men Children of the Atom and Marvel superheroes. Anita from Darkstalkers and Akuma from Street Fighter made appearances in their respective games, which inspired X-Men Cross Street Fighter, which directly led to Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, which led to Marvel vs. Capcom, one of the biggest crossover franchises of all time. However, one crossover character not brought up often when discussing Marvel vs. Capcom is Norimaru. Norimaru is based on Japanese comedian Noritake Kinashi, brought in as a cross-promotion between Capcom and his TV show. Noritake was originally meant to take up a spot in the next mainline Street Fighter before being talked down to just the crossover. He was removed from the English version of the game, seeing as Capcom was pretty sure that a Japanese comedian's game persona being included would confuse instead of entertain. However, being neither a Marvel nor a Capcom representative, Norimaru managed to make it Marvel vs. Capcom versus this guy. Imagine if that happened with the latest game. Another prolific fighting game series, Tekken, got its beginning in the guest fighter scene around the same time when Tekken 3 featured the unlockable character Gon. A completely unknown character in America at the time, Gon hails from a self-titled manga about the adventures of a pint-sized dino who survived the extinction of the dinosaurs. It's primarily a comedy series, so Gon's use of a fart attack shouldn't be unexpected. I'd like to say that he was the strangest addition to Tekken, but this was the same game that Alex and Roger were made playable, next to the immortal god of combat. Before we move forward, it would be a crime to not mention Xenophage, Alien Bloodsport, for having Barney the Dinosaur as a playable character. This was at the height of public disdain for the character, and in a time where copyright law wasn't enforced as strictly as it is today, imagine that, Apogee put the purple dinosaur in their blood-filled fighting game. He fires hearts and goes totally limp after one hit, a system which backfired as the game's fatality stand-in was rendered completely useless against him. The grand irony of this coming from the fact that in their attempt to lampoon the purple pariah, it became the most noteworthy thing about their awful fighting game. A fun fact, did you know you can't buy this game on Steam? I know that sounds like a joke, but seriously, look up Xenophage Alien Bloodsport on Steam. The game's there, you just can't buy it. Easily the most recognized crossover event in fighting game, if not gaming history, Smash Bros. Pits 8 to potentially 12 of Nintendo's heaviest hitters against each other in a battle to knock each other out of the ring in sumo-style battles of attrition. With special moves, stages from each character's game of origin, and items galore, Smash transcended its party game origins and became a fighting game institution, only hammered home by the technical leap forward made by the game's sequel, Melee. Being a crossover of just Nintendo properties was all well and good, but the nuggets of speculation were always in the back of everyone's heads. What if Smash had Sonic or Cloud, or even... The world changed on May 11th of 2006, when the first trailer for Melee's follow-up Brawl was revealed, showing off 9 characters including newcomers Pit, Meta Knight, Zero Suit Samus, and Wario. That is, 9 and 1 more.
Showtime だ.
A character that would look like a gag on a bingo sheet of Smash hopefuls ended up being the first ever inclusion outside of the Nintendo umbrella. Solid Snake from Metal Gear Solid. Having been in only one game that people cared about on a Nintendo console in the Twin Snakes on the GameCube, having a character who seemed so at odds with the core values of Nintendo be the first character to enter Smash was a head-scratcher for sure. And it can be argued that all of Brawl had to be warped to fit Snake because he would look ridiculous with the regular Nintendo art style, but what is certain is that this was a watershed moment. After him, Sonic the Hedgehog was revealed, the character that everyone wanted in Smash Bros., and after him, all bets were off. I think most people didn't realize how much guest characters in Smash meant until Mega Man's reveal in Smash 4. Many people's wishful thinking pick was suddenly the belle of the ball in a time where his game's pitched to game's release ratio looked something like this. After him came Pac-Man, Ryu, Cloud, Bayonetta, and Simon. Most of the Fighter Pass for Ultimate is made up of third-party characters, and the ones that aren't warmly received. Being a Smash Bros. Character went from being a chance to see characters duke it out to seeing them become video game royalty. Smash isn't the only game to do something like this, because in a similar vein to Marvel vs. Capcom, Capcom and Bandai Namco joined forces to pit two of the most iconic fighting game rosters against each other in Street Fighter Cross Tekken. If you look past how bad it is, it's actually a pretty good game, but one of the features that soured public opinion on this game early was the guest characters. Two of the most iconic characters from both companies' libraries, Mega Man and Pac-Man, would be making appearances, just not exactly how you'd hope. Pac-Man was piloting series veteran Mokujin, and Mega Man, well, it's nice that they tried, I guess, but I just wish they had tried a little more than not at all. Coming during the Great Mega Man drought that I had mentioned before, this take on the American box art of the first Mega Man game was met with widespread unapproval, as people took it as an insult to the beloved mascot character. But the odd choices don't end there. Sony of Japan's mascots, Toru Inuo and Kuro, were added as individual fighters no less, as 2 kicks to the penis is better than 1, and Cole McGrath from the Infamous series, exclusive to the PS3 version of the game. Cole was inserted to give the PS3 and Vita versions of the game a kick in the rear to entice players to pick their version, since Infamous 2, the most recent game in the Infamous series, had come out a year ago. So this now makes it Street Fighter, cross Tekken, cross Mega Man, cross Pac-Man, cross Sony, cross Sucker Punch. If only. You can't mention Cole McGrath without mentioning the other crossover fighting game he happened to fall into, PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. Starting development in 2009 under the title Title Fight, Naughty Dog was originally pegged to make this game, but they were a little busy making The Last of Us. I mean, one has Fat Princess, the other doesn't, so who really won here? After that, Superbot Games and Bluepoint were tasked with putting together this horror show. But Superbot was a company made exclusively to make this game, a company made with its sole purpose being to make PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. If you ever question your self-worth, just remember that you can do other things other than just make PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. Bluepoint, however, is a company you may have heard of, as they're responsible for the Shadow of the Colossus and Demon's Souls remakes. Two of the most beautiful games ever made, and before that they made this. Comparisons were made from Smash Bros. From the beginning, in a counterattack happening 14 years late. This is like a boxer throwing a left hook after being loaded into an ambulance. However, if any company's library of characters was enough to go toe-to-toe with Nintendo's cast, it's Microsoft, but until they nut up, Sony will do. With characters like Spyro, Crash Bandicoot, and Solid Snake, this was set to be the Smash Bros. Game Smash Bros. Only wishes it could be. Yeah, maybe we can just use 2 Coles and no one will notice. Yeah, the cast of PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale is a head-scratcher, with some natural choices like Ratchet & Clank, Nathan Drake, and Jak and Daxter. Some good choices like Sir Daniel Fortescue, Parappa the Rapper, and Spike from Ape Escape. And some odd choices like Big Daddy from BioShock, Fat Princess, and...
What the hell is this?
For a first-time outing, PlayStation's roster of All-Stars had a sizable portion of the roster from games not exclusive to their own console. It took Smash 3 games to start including characters from outside the core company. Meanwhile, PlayStation got as many of them as they could from their first go-around. When you have to include Raiden instead of Snake because one of your competitors took him first, you just have to ask what the point is. PlayStation All-Stars will forever hold a place in history as a game that could have had tremendous potential, but chose instead to crap its pants and die a slow death. One last series with a treasure trove of guest characters is Mortal Kombat. Despite what you might think, this is a series that didn't have any guest characters until the reboot Mortal Kombat 9 in 2011. Sticking with version exclusivity, Kratos from God of War is playable in the PS3 version of the game. A slight upgrade to his Mon Nation Racers and Hot Shots Golf appearance, in this game Kratos uses the weapons from his Slaughter of Olympus to lay waste to the Mortal Kombat cast. A more fitting guest character you couldn't find. That is except for the second character, Freddy Krueger from the Nightmare on Elm Street series. Since the rights to Mortal Kombat were owned by Warner Brothers, adding one of their film characters was as simple as asking, and little did they know, Freddy was just the first of many. Following him in Mortal Kombat X were the Xenomorph, Predator, Jason, and Leatherface. What's noteworthy is that the Xenomorph and Predator were actually 20th Century Fox characters, meaning that to get those two in the game, it took a whole different movie studio. However, the lid was firmly blown off in Mortal Kombat 11, where it featured Spawn, Joker, Terminator, Rambo, and the best one, these characters spanned from MGM, Paramount, Lionsgate. It made Mortal Kombat more and more of a cult classic film fighting game, with a few original characters like a Cold Man and Arachnaman. Before we finish this up, let's rapid fire a couple more entries of noteworthy guest characters. Namco comes back strong with Link, Heihachi, and Spawn in Soul Calibur 2 in the GameCube, PS2, and Xbox versions of the game respectively. Heihachi is in Tekken 7, which has a treasure trove like Negan from The Walking Dead, Geese from Fatal Fury, Noctis from Final Fantasy, and Akuma from Street Fighter. Akuma was also in Capcom vs SNK 2, which featured Haomaru from the Samurai Shodown series. Haomaru was a Soul Calibur 6 DLC character in the same series that featured Lloyd Irving from the Tales of Symphonia series. The same Lloyd who appears as a costume for your Mii in Smash Bros. The same game with Solid Snake, who appears in Dream Mix TV World Fighters. The same game that features Bomberman, who in Super Bomberman R has a skin that makes him New Day's Xavier Wood from WWE, who is also in Gears of War 5. This has Marcus Phoenix, who appears in Lost Planet 2. The mech from Lost Planet 2 appears in the crossover Tatsunoko vs. Capcom as a playable character. This same game has Chun-Li, a character in Power Rangers Legacy Wars. The same Power Rangers that had an event with Puzzle and Dragon. The same Puzzle and Dragon that crossed over with Fist of the North Star, which was the inspiration for Karnav's design in fighter history. Time is a flat circle! That was a nice refresher on what I need to know. Be a third-party character, don't be Fat Mega Man, and if possible, look like a Fist of the North Star character. Alright, I think I'm ready to go. Wish me luck.